Hi, everybody. It's me, Miss Mazza. I am not going to be here for about 2 weeks. I unfortunately ruptured my Achilles tendon while dancing. I have to get surgery on Tuesday, so I'm going to be out for a little while. While I am out, you are going to be working on a project. You're going to be starting Surrealism Perspective. That's what we were going to be starting, whether I was here or not. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you, or I'm going to have YouTube videos that are going to be up for you to see each step. I'm going to try to make it as clear as I can. If you get confused at any point, you can always go back to the YouTube video on your phone or on your iPod or iPad or whatever you use to look at the YouTube video. You are going to be working only with regular white paper, which will be given to you by the substitute. You're going to have pencils, colored pencils, a 12-inch ruler, and thin Sharpie markers. Please do not use any other materials for this. Don't touch anything else in the room. I came back on Saturday just to get some materials and have my mom help me cut some paper and do some of the things I needed to do. When I came in, I was really disappointed of how the classroom was left. Do I think it was you? Not necessarily, but the classroom was left really messy. I'm not going to be there for 2 weeks, so I can't clean up after you, and I don't expect to clean up after you, and the substitute shouldn't have to clean up after you. We went through this already once. Please clean up your mess. Do not leave anything on the tables. Make sure that the yellow cabinet stays organized. Make sure that your sketchbook cabinet stays organized. Make sure that that front supply table stays organized. Put the colored pencils back in the proper sections that they belong in. This way, every time you go to use it, it's going to be much easier to get the things that you need. It's all for you. You need to keep the room clean so that you have an easier experience and that the tables don't get dirty and gross and the backs of your projects don't get messy. All of that stuff is on you. So you have to make sure that the room stays clean. I'm really sorry I can't be there. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon. Please work as hard as you can on these projects. I'm going to be grading them, and they're going to be a part of your grade. I'm looking for a high level of craftsmanship. I'm looking for you to do the best job that you can. At this point, I know what you're capable of, so push yourself as hard as you can. Make sure that it looks good. And if you're not comfortable with some of the material, or you're not 100% sure, ask the people in class who are, or you can go online and look up some other YouTube videos or some other instructions on how to do perspective a little bit better. I'm just expecting you to work your hardest and to be the best you can, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. I hope that you guys have a nice end to the winter. Hopefully we don't get too many more snow days so we can, start getting some spring. And that's it. I'll see you soon. Okay, so today we're going to learn about perspective, and we're going to be talking about surrealism. Surrealism is a form of art that was made around the World War I, World War II. We're going to be talking about Rene Magritte, who's one of my favorite artists of all time. Perspective is a very mathematical, exact way to draw something that looks like it's going into a distance. So you're looking at something that has depth and space. You can see here, just in the beginning here, this is some of the things that we're going to be talking about. You have your vanishing point and your horizon line, and you can see that these boxes are drawn in perspective, meaning they look like they have space. And I'll be explaining that more as we go. Okay, so make sure that you take all these notes. Again, you don't have to write every single word. You just need to write the stuff that pops out at you, the stuff that's important. Make sure you're listening to me, and you can use your visual notes. This is also going to be you'll be able to get this online. It's on YouTube. So you just need to find the link. It should be on the board. If not, you can ask the substitute, and she should have it. He or she should have it, sorry. And you'll just work from there. So, linear perspective. Linear perspective is what we're going to be working on. It's a mathematical system for projecting the dimensions of three-dimensional object to a flat surface. Developed by artists during the Renaissance. Linear perspective is one strategy for creating the illusion of space. So a lot of you have always asked me, like, how do I make this look like it's going backwards, or it makes it look like I'm in a room or it's going back in space? This is how you do it. And it's a very exact method. You have to use a ruler. You cannot do this project without a ruler. If you do not have a ruler in your hand, then you are not doing it correctly. That's the major biggest thing. It's making sure that you're measuring, you're paying attention, you're following the guidelines, and you're paying attention to those horizon lines and your vanishing point. Okay, space. We've talked about space a little bit with our positive and negative space. This is another kind of space. You know, when we were doing our Matisse project, we cut out the pieces, and the pieces that were cut out were our positive space, and what was left over was our negative space. This is a little bit different kind of space. Space is the feeling of depth. Real space is three-dimensional. In visual art, when we create the feeling or illusion of depth, it's called space. So when we're drawing someone or a room or a place and it looks like it's three-dimensional, it has space. When there's a foreground, meaning the front of the picture, the middle ground, which is the middle of the picture, and the background, which is the back of the picture, that's creating a sense of space. So you're getting a depth. It's going from the front to the back, and you can see that it's moving, and there's space in between the back and the front. The thing is that you're creating an illusion because you're making it on something that's two-dimensional, like a piece of paper. Your three-dimensional world is going to come to life, but it's going to be an illusion because it's not actually going to be three-dimensional. You're just making it on a flat piece of paper, which is two-dimensional. Okay, and again, if I'm going too fast, you can always go back and look at this video on YouTube. You can pause it. You can do whatever you need to do on your cool guy smartphones, and you can get all these notes there. Okay, 1-point perspective. That's the type of perspective we're going to work on. There's 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective, 4-point perspective. It gets crazy. I don't even know how to do some of the higher numbers. It just is way too complicated for my brain. But if you're really into this, if you're this type of learner, if you're this type of person, you're going to really dig this. It definitely involves some math. It involves some exactness, which I think some of you are going to really enjoy. Okay. 1-point perspective is a form of linear perspective in which the lines recede into space, converging at a single vanishing point of the horizon line. That seems like a lot of biz, but all it is essentially is that there's going to be 1 point on your paper that every single line, every single angle has to match up to. So it's going to be very simple to make, let's say, a chair or a couch that's along the side of a wall, because all you need to do is take the top of that couch, line it up to that point in the back, and there you go, bing, bam, boom, you got yourself a three-dimensional couch in your room. So it's actually really easy and awesome to do. Your horizon line. Your horizon line is, if you think of like, if you're at the beach and you're looking over the ocean and you see how that the ocean and the sky, there's a straight solid line that separates the two. That's your horizon line. It's the same thing when you're looking into a room. If you have like a point, your horizon line is that line. When we do a still life, sometimes the table line in the back of a still life, that acts as your horizon line. Okay, the horizon line is determined by the physical position of the artist. Sitting on the floor creates a low horizon line, while standing at an easel creates a higher horizon line. All vanishing points in 1- and 2-point perspective are positioned on the horizon line. So let's say you're drawing a still life and you're sitting on the floor. Your table, the back table line, where you draw your table line, that's going to be much higher than if you were standing on the table drawing your still life. So it's really from your perspective. So the viewer's perspective is where the horizon line is. So if you're in a helicopter flying over the beach, your horizon line is going to be much lower than if you're sitting on the beach looking at the horizon, like if you're looking at the ocean and where the ocean and the sky meet each other. Okay, vanishing point. Vanishing point in linear perspective. The point or points on the eye level at which parallel lines appear to converge. So your vanishing point is going to be that dot. You're going to find the exact center of your paper, and that's going to be your vanishing point. That's where every single edge and line and angle needs to meet. If it does not go to that vanishing point, then you are not creating proper 1-point perspective. And as I show you like physically how to do it, you will understand what this means. At any point, since I'm not going to be in class, if you need some other direction, you can always look on YouTube and find other videos. You can go in my library of books and you can look and see if there's anything in there that you want to use. You can use your phone. I don't care what you do. If you need help with it or you're confused, ask a buddy. Ask somebody who understands. Look online. Okay, picture plane. Picture plane in linear perspective, the flat surface on which a three-dimensional image is mentally projected. So all that is that your paper is the picture plane. If you have a 12-inch by 14-inch piece of paper, which you will have for this project, that's going to be your picture plane. In the center of that picture plane is going to be your horizon line. Your vanishing point is going to be the very, very, very center of your picture plane. The picture plane is where everything happens. It's where your image is going to be living. Okay, this here is an idea of perspective. The red line here, this line, let's see, this line here, whoop, going across, that's your horizon line. This pink dot right in the center, that's your horizon line. I mean, your vanishing point. I'm sorry. Horizon line's in red, pink is your vanishing point. Now, all of these lines that are converging to this vanishing point, that's how you create depth. If you look at that back square, this back rectangle, you're going to see that it looks like it's going back in space. That's what you're going to do with your room. Essentially, we're going to do the same kind of thing. You're going to be making a rectangle in the back, and then you're going to be making diagonal lines to that rectangle that all are going to ultimately be able to line up with that vanishing point. And then you'll make a whole room within this space, and everything is going to line up with that vanishing point to create your perspective. So you have your horizon line, which is this red line, and your vanishing point, that's your pink dot. So this is different boxes that are open. So imagine this green box. This is like a empty cardboard box, and this is like the inside of the cardboard box. Depending on where it is, this is if, like, let's say you were making something that was on top of the ceiling, this is what would be the perspective of something that's on the ceiling. That box, if it was upside down, stuck to the ceiling, that's what it would look like going to that vanishing point. This is horizon line / eye level. So this is like, if you're looking straight on, that's your eye level. If this is below your eye level, this is above your eye level. So if, let's say this one is kind of off to the side, so this is on the ceiling but off to the side, this is on the floor, going back in space. So you can see the box sitting on the floor is going to be, you can see the angles of the box all go straight back to that vanishing point. As long as you do that, everything else is simple. I know this might seem a little bit confusing, but as we do it, you're going to see it's a lot easier than it looks. It just has to be exact. Okay, this is a room made in perspective. If you look at it, you have the back, let's pretend like, I'm trying to get my pointer, like this would probably be the vanishing point right around the middle of the bookcase. And all of these lines are going to go right to that spot. If you take a ruler and you were to outline all these lines, they're going to go right back to one spot in the back. That's where your vanishing point is. So this is the back wall. You have your angles of the room. Everything looks like it's going back in space. Again, this is just flat. All that it is you're taking the angles of the room and the angles of your pieces, your furniture, and putting it back to one vanishing point. Okay, surrealism. This is one of my favorite forms of art and one of my favorite art movements. Some famous surrealist artists are Rene Magritte, who we're going to be learning about, Salvador Dali, Giorgio de Chirico. There's a million of them, and they're all awesome. Okay, so surrealism is a 20th century art form in which an artist combines unrelated images or events in a very strange and dreamlike way. So, you want to think realistic setting with crazy stuff going on the inside. You want to think fantasy. You want to think things that shouldn't belong, juxtapositions, things that are opposite of each other. This says fantastic or incongruous images. So thinking about things, again, that are like opposite of each other, things that don't belong. Unnatural or irrational juxtapositions and combinations. So we're going to be making a surrealism room. So you're going to maybe make a bedroom or a kitchen or a dining room or a living room. And in that room, there's going to be some crazy stuff happening. You might have the whole top of the ceiling totally blown off, and then you have the whole night sky with like big giant, planets and different things coming through the ceiling. Or you might have like dinosaurs walking in the middle of your room, or you might have a gigantic apple in the middle of your room, and I'll show you a picture of that in a second. Okay, this is Rene Magritte. There actually was an exhibit of him at the MoMA maybe 2 years ago. It was amazing. I loved every second of it. It had all of his works there. You can still go to the MoMA. They have a few of his works, or the Metropolitan Museum of Art has some of his works as well. Okay, Rene Magritte is one of the most important artists in the Surrealist movement. This movement began in the 1920s. Surrealism is a modern movement in art that tries to express the subconscious mind. So you're trying to like really play with your imagination. This is all about creating a fantasy-like, dream-like setting that almost seems like it should be real. Surrealism was prominent as it was a prominent movement during World War II. It was a prominent movement during World War II. If you think about what was happening during World War II, it was a very dark, depressing, violent, scary time. So the country, our country, and all, especially the European countries who were right in the middle of war, they were really like down and out. And these surrealist artists were trying to make, if you think about, why would you want to have something that's fantasy-like or almost like an escape? That makes sense because of that time period. If you're in war and everything is horrible and dangerous and things are exploding around you, you don't know if your life is at stake, it would be nice to be living in a more fantasy-like world. You're going to go into your imagination and try to ease your mind. And these artists, that's what they were doing. They were trying to like show this alternate place, these juxtapositions, these fantasy-like objects and these fantasy-like ideas to kind of help the people around them, you know, have like a happy moment or have like a cool and interesting way to escape by looking at their artwork. Okay, Magritte pushed the boundaries of the ordinary by making the viewer discover the meaning behind his paintings through juxtaposing titles and images. So Magritte was all about like saying something, like you'll see later there's an image, it's a pipe, and the title is "This is not a pipe." So it's all about trying to like make your mind think outside the box and really be creative. And this is what this project is all about. So for those of you who love like being exact, this is a great project for you. But also for those of you who are really like outside the box, really like to be creative, this is a perfect project for you. So it's going to reach all of you guys in a different way. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is called The Lovers. And you can see it's two people kissing and they're covered with shrouds or masks or fabrics. And it has a lot of meaning and significance in that you have almost like, there's so many things you can think about this. I mean, you can say this is, love is blind, right? That's probably one of the more literal things that you see. Like they are kissing each other and they're the lovers, but they really don't know each other. They're hidden by these masks. They're not truly honest with each other. There's a lot of things you can draw from this, but it's very weird. And that's what surrealism is. It's very like, it's not quite right. You're looking at it and there's always something off. Okay, this is The Treachery of Images. And in French, it says, "This is not a pipe." Obviously, that is a painting of a pipe. But he's saying it's not a pipe. So what is it? And that's why it's called The Treachery of Images. So it's an image, but it's physically saying it's not what it is. And it's just a matter of that juxtaposition, like creating that uncomfortable kind of confusion with the audience, the viewer, and the artist. So you're looking at this and you're kind of thinking about, you know, what could it be then if it's not a pipe? Is it you know, sparking your creative side and your outside of the box kind of mentality. This is called The False Mirror. This is one of my favorites as well. He has a couple of these. And you'll see this kind of places. People like to replicate this in advertisements and things. But it's really cool because, you know, the eyes are the mirror to your soul. And that's a typical phrase that people say. This is saying the false mirror. So you're looking into this person's eye and you're seeing something that shouldn't be there. You're seeing the sky within his eye. So is that person lying? What's the deal? Like, are they looking at the sky? It has nothing to do with that? Are you looking at this person and you're trying to decide whether or not they're honest and you're seeing something that's totally false? So again, that total juxtaposition, like this should not belong in an eyeball. You know, so think about that when you're designing your room. Like how can you really push the boundaries in that way? This one is one of my favorites. I love all of his stuff, so I'm going to say that every time, but this is one of my favorites. It's called Not to Be Reproduced. So essentially it's a man looking in a mirror, but instead of seeing his face like you would normally see in a mirror, like if I'm looking at a mirror, I'm facing the mirror, I'm going to see my face. I'm actually seeing the back of him. So it's impossible. It's something that could never happen. And it probably has a very interesting meaning. I'm sure when the artist was making it, he had a very, very exact purpose for this. I mean, I think of, just the mystery of what this man's face looks like. Like, who is it? I don't know. It's very interesting. But I love the fact that you're seeing, it's something that would be normal. Like, you're looking in a mirror, you should see the front of their face, but you're not. This is called the Empire of Light 2. And if you look at it, you have the bottom half of it is nighttime. So you're seeing a house or a row of houses and trees and the street lamp and the ground, and it's all nighttime. But then the sky is like a bright, beautiful daytime sky. And that juxtaposition of the nighttime buildings and the nighttime ground and then that beautiful, daytime sky is very confusing, because you're looking at it and you're like, wait a second, these trees should be green and lush and everything should be bright, but it's not. So you're getting that cool kind of opposites. This is a really great example of what surrealism is all about. Okay, so this is an example of a surrealistic room. This is called personal value. So this is a room. It has like all clouds for the walls, which is surrealistic in itself. And you have your bed and your armoire and the floor and the rugs. They're all normal size. But then you have these giant things that you might find in a man's room. You have your like bar of soap. You have your glass. You have a matchstick. You have a comb. You have a brush that you would use for, doing... doing the foam for when you're shaving your face. So you have these huge things that are opposite of the small normal things. So you have these giant objects in this regular sized room. That's your surrealism. That's where it's juxtaposed. So you can think about that. Maybe you want to do what's important to you. Is there certain aspects of your bedroom or your space in your life that you love that are really important, so you would blow up? You would make them really big and put them in your room. That's an option. This is called the Son of Man. We are talking, has very heavy biblical connotations. If you're looking at this, the apple represents, the Adam and Eve, when, Adam and Eve, they eat the apple off the tree. And then, we have what we have today. That Son of Man would be Adam. He's the first man. He's the first person that God put on this earth, and he betrayed him and he ate the apple. So you're seeing, instead of seeing the man's face, you're seeing that apple, because we are all products, religiously, we are all products of that thing. So that apple is what's representing, the evil and the liar and the things the negatives that we are as a person. So instead of seeing his face, that apple is what is being represented as him. That's what's called the Son of Man. This is a very famous image. I'm sure some of you have seen it. Okay, this is our project. We're going to explore one point perspective by drawing a room. We're going to design a realistic room that has unrealistic elements, which is surrealism. So we're going to design a room that's going to be normal. You're going to design a living room or a dining room or a kitchen or a bedroom or whatever you want to do, a classroom. But there's going to be unrealistic elements in that. You're going to draw in pencil. Then you're going to outline in very thin Sharpie. Then you're going to color and blend with colored pencil. I'm expecting a high level of craftsmanship. I really want these to look as high and as high level as you possibly can make them. I understand some of you may not be as confident as a drawer as the others, but all you need to do is just follow the steps, really use the materials the best you can. That's all I'm asking for you to do. Okay, these are two examples of a surrealistic room that were made with colored pencil. This is one you can obviously see. You have a room, you have a floor that is like going down into the sky. You have the sky peeking through that like grated wall. And then you have these kind of crazy looking like things sticking out of the wall. You have the sky, like the planets coming out of that other window or whatever it is. And it's very surreal. It has like a very fantasy-like appeal to it. So I really want you to think outside the box. Really create something that's going to be special and different and interesting. This is another example. This is a kitchen. And you have your this is all done in black and white, obviously. But you have your astronaut. You have things floating as if it's zero gravity. You have some kind of like crazy octopus monster coming out from underneath the sink. The water is flowing upwards. I'm assuming because there's no gravity in the kitchen. And then you have like some like looks like planets or something busting through the wall. So it's very out there. It's very creative. There are examples of these of students that did this last year. They are on my desk. Hopefully they'll get passed around so you guys can see them. You can take a look at them. A lot of them weren't finished. We did this at the very, very, very end of the year last year, and I really liked it, and we didn't get to finish it. So some of them are not finished. Some of them are not great, but they're pretty good examples of what I'm looking for. So I want you to take a look at those and make sure that you have all these notes. Do not... if I went too fast, all you need to do is go on YouTube, find this video, pause it when you need to pause it, finish taking the notes. That's all your job is for this class. And the next time you hear from me, I'm going to be showing you how to draw perspective, and we're going to be starting to sketch out our rooms and come up with our ideas. Okie dokie. I think that's all.